Speaker. Mr. Speaker, 10,000, that's the number of individuals and organizations, including provincial government of British Columbia and several First Nations, who wrote to or appeared before the Joint Review Panel assessing the Northern Gateway project, and their opposition to this project was unanimous, nearly unanimous. Mr. Speaker, I'd like to mention my work as an MP to protect coastal communities, encourage sustainability, and protect the marine inland ecosystems. Early in my term, I introduced a bill to ban oil tankers off BC's north coast. I also introduced a bill to protect wild salmon by transitioning West Coast fish farms to closed containment. I also helped form an all-party Oceans Caucus to inform parliamentarians about issues threatening the health of Canada's oceans and of the opportunities to become a global leader in areas like ocean research. Mr. Speaker, I also introduced a bill to ban the importation of shark fins to Canada, which was based on a UN report on the state of the world's oceans, and it concluded our oceans are under threat, major stress from climate change in the form of ocean acidification, and that large predators like sharks are in serious decline. I mention these initiatives because they relate directly to the work of my good friend, the member of Skeena-Bulkley Valley, and specifically of the intent of this bill to protect our way of life on the West Coast, not just for current generations, but for future generations as well. Mr. Speaker, the member for Skeena-Bulkley Valley came to my riding late last year. He spoke to a large gathering of my constituents about the impact the Enbridge Northern Gateway project would have on the North Coast if it was to go ahead. He was captivating from the start. He was informative, and his stories were engaging. He presented alternatives to what the Conservatives are proposing. He spoke of this bill, and this bill that we're debating today, and what they could expect with a new Democrat government. The people really appreciated his presentation, his thoughtful analysis, and his well-researched proposal. Mr. Speaker, they liked it. You know, Mr. Speaker, energy pipelines and the environment are very much a concern to the people of British Columbia. Not only is there massive opposition to the Enbridge Northern Gateway pipeline, but there is also opposition to Kinder Morgan's Trans Mountain pipeline proposal. My colleague from Burnaby Douglas and the Mayor of Burnaby, Derek Corrigan, and his council have worked hard to expose the shortcomings of this project and the flawed NEB process. We know that over 100 people were arrested on Burnaby Mountain, clearly demonstrating their opposition to this pipeline proposal. I attended a rally in September at the Colony Farm Regional Park in my riding, where people were very concerned about Kinder Morgan's proposal to use Colony Farm as a staging area for the assembling of the pipes for this section of the new pipeline that's proposed. People were very opposed to this use of a public park. Mr. Speaker, I provided background information to Bill C-628. I spoke of my own work relating to protecting BC's West Coast way of life. In fact, I should add that even before I was an MP, I was concerned about these issues. In 1995 and again in 2000, I swam the 1,400-kilometer length of the Fraser River, one of the world's greatest salmon rivers, to raise awareness about the threats facing this great river system and to our way of life in British Columbia. You know that over 1.4 million people live within the Fraser River Basin. A huge amount of the economy is generated within the basin. The health of this river, like the ocean on BC's north coast, is critical to the health of our way of life on the west coast of Canada. What I'm saying, Mr. Speaker, is the intent of Bill C-628 is to protect a way of life and to promote a sustainable way of life. It's certainly what motivates me to do the work that I do as a parliamentarian. It's why I became an MP, and it's why I'm happy to support Bill C-628. I'd like to thank my colleague for bringing it forward. And before I conclude, Mr. Speaker, I'd like to provide a quote from Art Starrett, who's the Executive Director of Coastal First Nations. He said, quote, "For too long, the concerns of our people and the majority of British Columbians have been ignored. The bill addresses some of our major concerns with Enbridge Northern Gateway Pipeline," unquote. Mr. Speaker, what the member from Skeena-Bulkley Valley is doing with this bill is not only listening to his constituents, he is proposing solutions. Solutions that make sense for West Coast communities and a West Coast way of life. So in conclusion, I'd like to say, number one, Conservatives have brazenly tried to force the Northern Gateway Pipeline project and Supertanker project onto British Columbians and First Nations. New Democrats will continue to stand with BC and First Nations to fight for a fairer process for all Canadians. And this bill is a common sense initiative to put respect for communities, First Nations, and the environment back into Canada's energy conversation, and to make sure Canadians are getting our full benefit of energy development. And Canada's Parliament has been mulling over protection for British Columbia's north against oil tanker traffic for over a generation. It's time, Mr. Speaker, for MPs, especially ones from British Columbia, to rise to the occasion and to extend permanent protection for BC's North Coast. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Resuming